The Endurance E-Racing World Championship Le Mans 24 Hours is brought to you by ESR Esports Network, Fleet Gaming, Sim Lab, Yousuf, Simplexity, Acetech, and AMD Ryzen Radio.
I'm not sure if you caught that first bit, but welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the GTR 24-8 round 4 of the championship and the season finale here at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We are now more than 10 hours in, 14 hours remain of the race as we close in on that halfway point. And we are currently taking a look at Sultan Abdurrahmanov, who's doing a decent job right now for Eidos Motorsport, and he is really closing in onto Jesper Pedersen. But right as I say that, actually last lap he lost 3 seconds. Let's see what happens at this lap though. He only loses 1 second. So Jesper Pedersen is pushing, and we presume Sultan is as well. Matthew Beaver's doing a good job for Team Rookie Monsters in third, and while he may be 3 minutes behind right now and almost a lap behind, that is somewhat due to having that 30-second stop-go penalty, which cost Team Rookie Monsters about 50 seconds. So they've done a good job to kind of regain composure, jump back ahead of Daniel Wisner, but even without that penalty, I think they would still be behind Burst Edge Esports and Eidos Motorsport. So it's unfortunate for Team Rookie Monsters, but it hasn't really caused any changes in position at the present point in time. At least not unless Matthew Beavers has a pit stop advantage over Sultan, which he may do. Just also want to remind people we're keeping an eye on the lap times of James Zuber, who just put in a 3:34.7, not a quick lap at all. Oh, sorry, he's just done a 4:25, so he's just pitted, he's just come out of the pits, and he's come out behind Chris Gonzalez. But the question is, how far behind Chris is he? And the answer, I think, is 24 seconds. So remember, he was about 20 seconds behind, 14 seconds behind Chris Gonzalez before his pit stop. So with fresh tires, he really needs to gain back. And I think Chris Gonzalez might need to be, Daniel Wisner needs to pit as well. And then those three will be fairly close once again. And that is the battle for P4 in the LMP2 class. Remember, Daniel Wisner was right there with James Zuber, and, well, actually, I think it was Sultan Abdurrahmanov. Well, it wasn't Sultan at the time, but it was the 717 of Eidos Motorsport who was in that battle for P2 or P3 in the LMP2 class when there was that crash involving the Musto GD car, and that was into the Dunlop chicane. After the Musto GD car apparently got released with damage to the car. They had been waiting in the pits for about 5 minutes for that damage to get fixed, and they thought it was fixed, but it apparently wasn't, and it caused them to spin, and they then got collected. Nothing really the LMP2 cars could do, and if I'm not mistaken, it was just deemed as a racing incident. Now, PIB cars have closed in onto ID Sim Sport. And PIB cars in that BMW, the white and grey BMW, closing in on the white and blue ID Sim Sport car. And this is going to be a move for position. As we can see, if you look on the bottom left of your screen, that is a weather report. And that is rain. That is a lot of rain, but it's going to hit the north of France. If you look at the red dot in the middle of your screen, that is where the Le Mans track is. And we might just get a little drizzle, but it's not going to be anything major. So it seems that the rain that was predicted, well, maybe a bit of a northerly wind has swept in and just carried that rain away. And we know Burst Esports, or Burst Edge Esports, did not want rain. They were not feeling confident with rain, and I think leading the race, they definitely don't want any rain to come through at all. Davide Arduini is into the pits, and he's going to drop down the order. How's Roy de Monk doing in the number 11 car? doing all right. One Move Esports, of course, they need to gain some points so that they do not drop behind Burst Edge, who are looking to claim 54 points with a win. And actually, I think it wouldn't be 54 points. It wouldn't be 52 points. It would be 54 points because they did qualify on pole to gain those extra 2 points. Remember, double points here on offer at Le Mans. So with a 54 points on offer for Burst Edge, One Move Esports would need an extra 26 points to their tally, which equates to a 5th position. And right now they find themselves in 7th position. So they need to get the hurry up. They need to start closing in onto James Huber and Chris Gonzalez. But there is a possibility of a top 3 finish to whoever wins the race, really. Such is the power of the bonus points in the final race of the season. ID Sim Sport, the 199 car, they're right down the order. They're really not having a good showing, which means that Team Rookie Monsters, who currently find themselves 3rd place in the race, will be taking the championship. To be honest, all they have to do is finish ahead of ID Sim Sport, and they will take the championship, as they seem to be fairly safe from One Move Esports, who would need, well, how much would they need now? 36 points to jump ahead, which is a P2, really. I mean, P3 might just about do it, but they would need 0 points from Team Rookie Monsters. So P3 is a very, very hard asker for the number 11 car, even if it is Roy de Monk at the helm of the LMP2 car. How's James Huber doing? He is slowly closing in on Chris Gonzalez. The gap is now 23 seconds, but it's not closing in by enough. And actually, we kind of missed it, but PIB cars were able to get past the ID Sim Sport car. I think it happened on screen, but I was too busy focused on the timing screen. As apparently, oh yes, turn lower of the 888 car is now 3,000 seconds behind Daniel Vella, according to my timing screen. That is a big number, and I like it. Well, I mean, I don't like them being so far behind, but I like being able to see 7 digits on a timer. I think it is rather entertaining. It gives me a bit of company. I don't know how a long number gives me company, but that's what it feels like to me. Viaducton still trying to close in onto Andy Tucker as well. They find themselves in 5th place, and they have already won the championship coming into the Le Mans race, having taken all the available points on offer in the 2 races that they entered. So even with double points, even if Martin Hemmington takes a win and Viaducton don't complete the race, it doesn't matter, because Viaducton have 2 wins compared to whoever takes the win of the race. Well, it would have to be the number 10 of Martin Hemmington, the number 10 that took a pole in qualifying for PINSIM Drillers Esports, because they're the only ones that can gain those 2 extra points for pole. Even then, they only have 1 race win compared to Viaducton's 2. So no real pressure on Viaducton here tonight. They just want to maybe get some extra points and just have some fun, really. And maybe that's why they're a little bit off the pace of the likes of E-Team Brit and Mark Veit from Scuderia Basilia, Swiss outfit, who are joining us for the first time this season tonight. Giuseppe De Fuoco still leading the GTE class, over 2 minutes ahead of DGTL. And Giuseppe De Fuoco from Mosto as DGTL behind, and then John Monroe a further 24 seconds behind for Simply Race. In the BMW that we were looking at not too long ago, made a pass over ID Sim Sport for that 3rd position in the class. ID Sim Sport, that 166 car. We're not quite sure who's piloting the Aston Martin Vantage, but it could be any of Magnus Bergreen, Michael Pedersen, or Thomas Brainagor. Those are the 3 drivers that have been listed for the team that we have been given, as PIB cars that do dive on into the pits. James Hubert is closed in by another 2 seconds onto Chris Gonzalez, but that gap is over 20 seconds. Remember, it was at 14 seconds not too long ago. And actually, Daniel Wisner is 56 seconds up ahead. So I just wonder if new tyres weren't put onto Daniel Wisner's car, and that's how he's gained, well, what I think was about 30 seconds over Chris Gonzalez, but I'm not entirely sure. Daniel Wisner is 27 seconds behind Matthew Beavers, and Matthew Beavers in Team Rookie Monsters got past Daniel Wisner not too long ago, and is now stretching that lead, gained 3 seconds on that last lap as Sultan Abdurrahmanov closing in 2.5 seconds quicker than Jesper Pedersen last time round. The gap is now 38.8 seconds, and he is continuing to close in. A 3:29.4 from Jesper Pedersen this time round. He's just crossed the line. Let's see what Sultan can pull out, because the man is absolutely flying for Idus Motorsport. Idus Motorsport, of course, the team of our very own Alex Skinner, who has been on the commentary with me for quite a while. Maybe we can get Mr. Alex in for an interview at some point. I hear laughing in the background. I'm pretty sure that's Alex. But Sultan is absolutely flying across the line. It's a 3:28.0, another 1.5 seconds taken out of Jesper Pedersen as we approach midnight here in Denmark, which for you guys over in the UK would mean 11 p.m. And as I like to say, if you're somewhere else in the world, then I have absolutely no idea. And Matthew Beavis has dropped behind Sultan Abdurrahmanov. Oh, sorry, that's Matthew Beavis. Yes, Jesper Pedersen is still ahead. Sorry, I do apologize. For some reason, I thought Matthew Beavis became a Burst Edge eSport driver. Actually, that first sector, very, very even for the top 3. Just a 10th separating Sultan, who did a 32.4. Jesper Pedersen did a 32.4. And Matthew Beavis, who did a 32.5. So, very close between the 3 drivers. Of course, that sector 1, there's not really too much in it. You've got the Dunlop chicane and the S's, and then the long right-hander that leads onto the Mulsanne straight. And that sector 1 delta point is somewhere there, or I should say sector 2 delta point is somewhere through that corner. James Hubert still closing in onto Chris Gonzalez as well. A second quicker last time round, and Chris Gonzalez took 1.5 seconds out of Daniel Wisner. So we ride on board with the Danish Racing League team. They are currently in P5. Make that P4 of the GT3 class. As into the pits goes Borja Milan. Borja Milan has been doing a fantastic comeback drive. An absolutely fantastic start to the race for the number 77 car. But sadly, it wasn't meant to be really for One Acre Racing. That being said, though, they are coming back strong after dropping so far down the order due to, I believe it was an engine blowout. Either way, there was something that happened and it forced them to drop really far down the order. Where does Borja Milan feed out? Well, he'll come up behind the Danish Racing League at 50 seconds behind. Actually went a second quicker than Danish Racing League on that outlap. So good stuff from Borja Milan. Remember, once he gets past Danish Racing League, he then has to gain 2 laps to Alvaro Incausti, who is then almost a lap down on the 777 Nightmare car. James Hubert now 20.7 seconds behind Chris Gonzalez. He gained another second that last time round. Now the front, though, Jesper Pedersen has gone quicker than Sultan Abdurrahmanov by 0.2. The pair of them going about 2 seconds quicker than Matthew Beavis, who in turn has gone 2 seconds quicker than Daniel Wisner. James Hubert doing a 30.1, matching Matthew Beavis' pace. And has gained a second on Chris Gonzalez, 2 seconds on Daniel Wisner. As we take a look at Martin Hemmingsen, our race leader, and of course at the same time the hypercar class leader, who is now over a lap ahead of Marcello Tocco in that 47 Seawolf Net Race Motorsport car. And it's been a great drive from PINSIM Drillers Esports. It looked a little bit questionable at the start after Henry Sinickel lost the lead, having put the car on pole to Ibrahim Khan. But after a few hours, they got back in their groove. They went with a slightly different strategy. They went longer, so they were just chilling. You know, they weren't pushing super hard, and that strategy came to them. And now they do have a massive, massive lead over Marcello Tocco. Just taking a look at Giuseppe De Fuoco's lap times, 3:53.3. He is 2.5 minutes behind Alvaro Martinez, who's currently leading the GTE class, sorry, second in the GTE class. Michael Sedlacek in the 74, which is the Deuces Motorsport Club car, leading the way, also putting in a 3:54, but does have to pit. So he is losing about a second lap at the moment to Giuseppe De Fuoco in that Mustang Ferrari. So we were on board with the 888 tow and lower. 888 is the AC Sim Motorsports car, the German team. Sultan Abdurrahmanov again going quicker than Jesper Pedersen, this time by 0.7 of a second, almost 0.8. The gap is kind of stabilizing at around the 37 mark. Either way, it's in the high 30s. And I'm sure Sultan would be very happy if at the end of his stint that gap is under, well, at the end of this stint, if that gap can be under 35 seconds. We are expecting the pair of them to pit within, I want to say about 5-6 laps. I think they're halfway through their stint now. So 5 laps, if he is able to find a good 3 seconds, I'm sure that would be a stint well done for Sultan, especially gaining on someone of the caliber of a Jesper Pedersen. Two very, very quick drivers leading the LMP2 field. In fact, you know, right now they're actually matching the pace of Viaducton, who are currently 4th in the hypercar class. 1 lap behind Mark Veit. Bobby Trunley has made his pit stop, and now he's just trying to get that undercut to work on Viaducton. Lapping quicker, has just gone green in the middle sector. 1.5 seconds quicker than what Viaducton's middle sector was. Viaducton having set an 81.9, Bobby Trunley with an 80.2. James Hubert has finally got the gap to Chris Gonzalez down to 20 seconds. Or under 20 seconds, now 19.5 seconds. He's still closing in by around a second a lap. Sultan Abdurrahmanov is into the pits, and he couldn't quite get it under the 35-second mark. 37.6 when he dived in. Daniel Wisner will jump into the pits as well. Where does he come out actually relative to James Hubert? That's going to be something interesting, as Matthew Beavis is stationary on circuit. What has happened to Matthew Beavis? This is not good for Team Rookie Monsters. He has stopped through the Dunlop, under the Dunlop bridge, and I'm just trying to think where that is. That is, if I'm not mistaken, towards the end of the circuit. And oh no, Matthew Beavers, he's had to disconnect to get his car back to the pits. Team Rookie Monsters, they're going to have a 3-lap penalty for it as well. Is that an engine blowout? Did they run out of fuel? Team Rookie Monsters, after coming back from that 30-second stop-go penalty, it was looking good for them, and now they're really going to drop down the order. They're going to be ahead of Morten Argesen. Oh, sorry, I should say they're going to actually be around or approach them and behind Roy de Monk. And don't forget, Roy de Monk in that One Move Esport car. It should still be good for Team Rookie Monsters in the championship, but They need to keep everything clean. They cannot afford any more failures, because if they do, ID Sim Sport, they just need to finish in a P9. Well, actually, sorry, P7 if Team Rookie Monsters don't get any points. And if ID Sim Sport can get that P7, they will win the championship. Actually, no, they only need P9, I think. Yeah, they would only need P9. Oh no, never mind. They both have 1 win, but Team Rookie Monsters have 2 second place finishes. So, I think from countback, Team Rookie Monsters would win if ID Sim Sport took a P9. And at the moment, let's actually just check where exactly the number 199 car is. Is in P12. So, Team Rookie Monsters are safe. Well and truly safe, unless there are a lot more DNFs to come, which is always possible here at the Le Mans 24 Hours. Dewey Toman has dived into the pits on this lap, I think. Where is the 17 of James Duber? So James Duber is now back up into P3, which is pretty good for him. And he's only lapping a little bit slower than Jesper Pedersen as well. James Duber qualified in P2. Just trying to see if there are any gaps that are starting to really close in. Borja Milan is only 10 seconds behind the Danish Racing League, and he is gaining by a vast rate of knots. They both are pitted at the end of the last lap, I think. Oh, sorry, they both came out of the pits, potentially. And Borja Milan was much quicker. Yeah, so they both did their pit stops last lap. And Borja Milan actually gained 4 seconds in the final sector, 4.5 seconds to be precise, 1.5 seconds in the first sector. He might actually be on the back of the Danish Racing League at the midway point of the next lap. So we'll keep an eye on that gap. So Jesper Pedersen has just done a 3:28.6. And we'll wait to see what Sultan Abdurrahmanov can pull out, and the same for James Duber, who is a lap down. Actually, James Duber going quicker than Sultan in that middle sector, 6 tenths quicker. Roy de Monk is actually closing in on Chris Gonzalez as well, went 9 seconds quicker on that last lap after a very slow opening sector from Chris Gonzalez due to having left the pit lane. Borja Milan, how far behind the Danish Racing League team is he? 8.8 seconds. He's gained 1.5 seconds in Sector 1, and he's gained 2 seconds in Sector 2. 3.5 seconds in, well, just over half a lap. Bart Slobodin also closing in on the 188 Teleforeningen car after Bart Slobodin had issues for Team Rookie Monsters. I think it was Simon Marshall who was at the wheel of Team Rookie Monsters when the incident did occur. We are getting quite a few gaps that are starting to close in. So James Duber is running just a little bit slower than Jesper Pedersen right now. 7 tenths slower on that last lap. But Roy de Monk just that little bit slower than Chris Gonzalez. The gap is still at 5 seconds. But I think, guys, it is time to go and take a look from Borja Milan, because he is closing in on the number 13 Danish Racing League team. He's got one of the ID Sim Sport cars up ahead. That would have just lapped him, presumably. But that being said, Borja Milan is lapping faster than the 166, but slower than the 177. So I don't know which of the two ID Sim Sport cars that is. It is the leading car. Is that Michael Sedlacek? I'm not entirely sure. Because it is an Aston. And it says 01 on the car, which means it is the class leader. And the class leader of the GTE class is Michael Sedlacek. Just double checking, the 74, that is Deuce's Motorsport Club, which is in the Porsche, and that is definitely not a Porsche, so not quite sure what is going on there. Well, either way, 6 seconds was the amount that Borja Milan gained on Danish Racing League last time around. Borja Milan is closing in. You know what, I just worked out there is a way we can work out which of the ID Sim Sport cars that is. We press this button. That is the 177. So, Borja Milan went 2 seconds slower than the well, actually no, the ID Sim Sport car has not had its lap updated. Borja Milan is actually going slower than DIS. Went 2 seconds a lap slower that last time round. So, Borja Milan, he was fast at the start of the race, but not right now. See, that's not 01, it's a 07. It's because it's in P7. That would make a lot of sense. Bartolo Bodzian is only 3 seconds behind the Teleferningen car. So I think we'll hop on over to that battle. P8 is Bartolo Bodzian, and there you can see the red Teleferningen car up ahead. That's one of the hypercars flying past. And that is going to be the BMW of, that looks to me like Pierre B, the Pierre B 78 car. That passes him. Pierre B currently not doing too well. They were doing fairly well before, but now they find themselves languishing down in, I believe, 9th place, I think, for the Pierre B car. So, Bartolo Bodzian. How long will it take to get past that Teleferningen car in the Callaway Corvette? And there you can see all 3 cars in your shot. So they make their way down the Mulsanne Straight. And we'd expect Pierre B to get past on the exit of the Mulsanne chicane. And Bartolo Bodzian will try to use that. So they make their way into the second Mulsanne chicane. And the Pierre B car will probably go down the inside into the Mulsanne hairpin, you would have to assume. There you go, it'll get it done before the hairpin. Bartolo Bodzian just watches all of this unfold eagerly. Borja Milan is now 3.8 behind the Danish Racing League car. Having gained 6 seconds on the last lap. We'll see what he gains this lap round as they are getting somewhat closer to the end of the lap. LMP2 car in the background that may add a little bit of spiciness to the mix in this battle. It flies past without any issues whatsoever. Bartolo Bodzian now within a second of the Teleferningen car. This is the battle for P7, don't forget. And the 999 Team Rookie Monsters car are second in the championship. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to jump DIS for the championship win, but they need to prevent the likes of B32 and the DSR Nightmare car for jumping ahead. They are only 21 points ahead of DSR Nightmare. And here comes Bartolo Bodzian down the inside and will get the job done. As we make our way into Indianapolis. Good stuff from Bartolo Bodzian. Sorry, that's it, down into the Porsche cars. Pardon me. And now Borja Milan has a close right up onto, well, not only the ID Sim Sport car, but onto the Danish Racing League car. And he might just go 2 for 1. GT3 and GTE all in one go. Such is the pace that Mr. Borja Milan is showing. And you can tell right now Borja Milan will be cursing slow GTE cars. And here we go. The ID Sim Sport car will go one way, Borja Milan goes the other way, and the Danish Racing League car will just be forced to sit back and let the move happen. Borja Milan up into P4 now. Now to think about going around the outside into the Mulsanne chicane. We won't be able to pull it off on the ID Sim Sport Aston Martin Vantage. So, let's see how Mr. Sultan Abdurrahmanov is doing. 36 seconds behind Jesper Pedersen, so the gap is pretty much the same as it always was. Jesper Pedersen having just completed his pit stop. And in that first sector, identical times from the pair of them. In fact, some of the LMP2s behind are going a little bit quicker. Jerry Thurman going 0.2 quicker. Chris Gonzalez going 0.1 quicker. But Jesper Pedersen, all he has to do is just manage that gap to Sultan Abdurrahmanov. Jerry Thurman actually only 10 seconds behind James Hubert. James Hubert still to stop as well. And running about 2 seconds a lap slower than the guys behind. So Borja Milan is now 2 laps behind Alvaro Incausti, but he did go 5 seconds a lap quicker the last time round. But it is a long, long lap here at Le Mans, so now 5 seconds, you're going to need to do that a good, well, how many times are we thinking? 50 times? Yeah. 50 times might about do it. And if you do it about 60 times, really. If you can do that 60 laps, then, well, he would have unlapped himself. And then do that another 60 laps, he'll be on the same laps. So, yeah, he needs about 180, let's say 200 laps just to round it up. And, yeah, then he might be able to jump ahead. And that's just from pace alone. Obviously, strategy and all of that comes into it as well. By the way, from pace alone, Borja Milan should be able to move back up into the top 3. But catching the 777 Nightmare car and DIS SR Lab will be another thing entirely. And to be honest, I think unless there are issues, DIS should be able to hold on to that position over Borja Milan. But the 777 Nightmare car is another thing entirely. Also, our hearts, of course, do go out to the number 94 car of Mosto, Matteo Boschetti. Or, sorry, Matteo Boschetti, who is doing some decent laps, not overly quick, but decent laps. Remember, Mosto were fairly high up the order, but they've had quite a few incidents of their own, and they've really dropped down. Remember, they were battling with DISSR Lab earlier on in the race, having a really good battle, actually, for what was P2 at the time. So it's a big shame for them. So last time around, Jesper Pedersen actually went 2 seconds quicker than Sultan Abdurrahmanov. And James Hubert is into the pits. The P3 man. And let's see how far he drops down the order. Because Jerry Thurman will definitely jump ahead of him. And you have to assume the same for Chris Gonzalez, who is a further 70 seconds down the road. And remember, Chris Gonzalez was a man James Hubert was trying to close in onto before his pit stop. He was about 20 seconds behind. So if James Hubert can drop that to, you know, 15, 10 seconds, he'll be very happy with his final few laps of that last stint. But if it stays about 20, then I think he'll be kicking himself a little bit. We take a look at your hypercar class leader and of course your racer leader, Martin Hemmingsen. We haven't really had to talk too much about because he's got a 1 lap lead over Marcello Tocco, and he's, well, last time around he went 5 seconds quicker than Marcello, and I don't think Marcello came into the pits on that last lap. So it's just a very, very quick time from Martin Hemmingsen. And that 3:22 would have been enough to make him not last in qualifying anyway. So James Huber has come out of the pits, or is coming out of the pits now. No, he's still stuck in the pits, so Chris Gonzalez has passed him, so he's really going to drop behind Chris. And I think there might be a bit of a tyre change happening for James Huber as well here, or maybe there are even some repairs happening to the car, because that is a very, very long pit stop. Because Chris Gonzalez has already completed the opening sector, and James Huber is still stuck in the pits. So what is going on for PINSIM Drillers Esports? Because they're having some serious issues here. This pit stop has taken well over 30 seconds longer than it should have. And maybe this brings the likes of Matthew Beavers back into contention, who is back out on circuit after Team Rookie Monsters. They had some form of an issue. We have no idea what it was, but we saw them stopped on track under the Dunlop Bridge. Don't forget, you guys can get involved on Twitter, hashtag GTR24H, and if any of the teams want to jump in for a little old interview, they can of course do that as well. And I just realized, I think I may have missed a bit of an ad break. Production, did I miss the ad break 10 minutes ago? Or am I just hallucinating now because it's late at night? Okay, shall I throw to an ad break? Alright, we're going to be heading into a quick ad break, and when we're back, we will be bringing you more vroom vroom action, so stay tuned.
The Endurance E-Racing World Championship Le Mans 24 Hours is brought to you by ESR Esports Network, Fleet Gaming, Sim Lab, Yousuf, Simplexity, Acetech, and AMD Ryzen Radio.
Do you like games? Do you like esports? Do you hate watching laggy streams of tournaments on 13-inch screens? Oh my god! Of course you do. But you don't have to worry about that anymore. He has a jump, son!
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. There are 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the GTR 24H. We have just hit 11:30, well, 11:46. And we have, how long do we have left? 13 hours and 20 minutes remaining. Martin Hemmingsen still leads the hypercar class and the race as a whole. 2 laps ahead of Marcello Tocco, but I do believe Martin Hemmingsen has a pit stop due. Borja Milan is still pushing, gaining roughly 5 seconds per lap on Alvaro Incausti, and as we said, give him 200 laps and he might have found a way past. And 200 laps definitely takes a while, especially at a track like Le Mans where we have almost 4-minute lap times for the GT cars. The other battles we are watching is James Zuber, who is 82 seconds behind Chris Gonzalez. Before the pit stops, it was 20 seconds. So James Zuber, we don't know why he has been held for an extra minute in the pits, because there aren't any penalties that we've been made aware of. So I'm really unsure what has happened to James Zuber and the number 17 car, because PINSIM Drillers Esports have lost a whole bunch of time. And that's definitely not what they wanted to happen. Chris Gonzalez 54 seconds behind Jury Toman, losing about a second a lap at the moment. And don't forget, we saw Matthew Beavis having issues for Team Rocky Monsters. We don't know what, but we saw them grinding to a halt and they had to reset to the pits. And as a result, they've lost 3 laps in the process, as that is a penalty that you have to take. You've got to wait 3 laps before you can go back out if you do a reset to the pit lane. That being said, though, Matthew Beavis is going very quickly, 3:29.1, matching the time, actually going faster than the likes of Jesper Pedersen, and matching the times of Sultan Abdurrahmanov in P2. So very quick laps from Matthew Beavis, and crucially, he is ahead of his championship rival, One Move Esports. They're down in 3rd place, and ahead of ID SimSport as well. ID SimSport not having a good showing here at Le Mans. We're taking a look at James Zuber. A 5:54. That just shows you how long they were held in the pits for. But James Zuber goes green in Sector 1, so, well, he got held, maybe he got some extra special tyres. Roy de Monk is going green in both of his first 2 sectors. Michael Sedlacek still leading Alvaro Martinez and Giuseppe De Fuoco down in P3 in the GTE class. Michael Sedlacek in that number 74, the Deuces Motorsport Club, ahead of the number 51, Alvaro Martinez, the WOSR iZone Performance car. So the Spanish team doing well on their debut race in this season of the GTR 24H EEWC. However, Giuseppe De Fuoco has just made his pit stop, so that being said, it went a little bit slow in Sector 2. I want to see how his Sector 1 time compares to the guys up ahead. Not actually too much slower, just a couple of tenths. Actually, is it Giuseppe De Fuoco? Okay, no, he is over 2 minutes behind. So the 717 of Sultan Abdurrahmanov is still 36 seconds behind Jesper Pedersen, and going just under a second a lap quicker than the Burst Edge Esports car. And that is a big gap, 35 seconds, but to be honest, we're not even halfway through the race, so it's easily catchable. And that is, of course, if IDOS Motorsport can continue to put in some very quick laps that Sultan is doing. So Borja Milan still gaining 5 seconds plus per lap on Alvaro Incausti. He's doing everything he can to, well, undo the disaster that struck. Nightmare just did something, apparently. So Nightmare are leading the GT3 race. So what's happened to DIS? Okay, so DIS have made a pit stop. They are now 30 seconds behind Nightmare. And Nightmare are putting in some decent times at the moment. They are running 2 seconds a lap slower than Borja Milan, but to be honest, that has always been the case relative to the number 77 One Acco racing team. If Borja Milan can come back from this without Nightmare or DIS having any issues, this would be an absolutely insane drive. And to be honest, most of it would probably be Borja Milan, who's been just absolutely phenomenal. Nico Barkley has been fairly quick as well. Chris Shepherd has done his job. I don't think we've seen Ricardo Costa yet. Or maybe he went out while I was sleeping and I missed that. DIS though, they are running a little bit quicker than Nightmare at the moment. That middle sector, they've gone 4/10 faster than the DS Star Corvette. Another 5 seconds gained by Borja Milan on that last lap. And Alvaro Incausti is into the pits as well. Don't forget, Alvaro Incausti is in P3 at the moment. And Daniela Primavera is back out for Musto. Let's see if he can really gain some time on the guys up ahead, because we know Daniela Primavera is quick. He was a 1 battling with Andy Kurtzen for DIS at the start of the race. Nightmare are into the pits as well, so they'll come out behind DIS. But do watch out for Daniela Primavera and Borja Milan, because they are absolutely flying. They will be racing their way up, trying to get into that top 3, which is currently occupied by DIS, Nightmare, and Alvaro Incausti. Another half a second as well gained by Sultan on Jesper Pedersen. But again, that will take some time for that gap to drop down. Viaduct, and I think just pitted as well not too long ago. They fed out 9 seconds behind Bobby Trundley. Morten Argsen is the one rounding out that that LMP set, the LMPH class. 4 laps behind Team Viaducten. They've had their issues of their own, has the number 97 Elite Sim Sport Racing team. John Monroe is actually 9 seconds at the moment behind ID SimSport, but he is lapping slower. Went 2.5 seconds slow on that last lap, so I'm not sure if there is a pit stop due for John Monroe, because he's right in between the 2 ID cars. I don't think he was that long ago. So Alvaro Incausti, with his latest pit stop, is still in the pits, of course. But he's only going to be 1 lap ahead of Borja Milan, because Borja Milan is coming to complete his lap anytime soon. I think he's making his way into the Porsche curves right as we speak, so he might just be able to get himself, might just be able to unlap himself 1 more time. So the Nightmare team is out of the pits. They are 19.6 seconds behind DIS. The question is, can they match DIS? Can they close that gap down? Because at the moment, in pretty much every class, we are on for what could be a pretty exciting finish, with the exception of the hypercar class, because, well, PINSIM Drillers Esports are very, very quick and running away with the race at the moment, which I think a lot of people did expect. But maybe not by this amount, especially after the great start that we saw from the 97 Elite Sim race, from the 47 Seawolf Net Races Motorsport team, with Ibrahim Khan putting out some fantastic early laps. So Borja Milan is making his way on to the Mulsanne Straight, whereas Alvaro Incausti is on the Mulsanne Straight, so still 2 laps separating them. And actually, I think you can see Borja Milan making his way onto the Mulsanne Straight in the background. But we're looking at the DIS SR Lab car, who was just let, I think that was a Mark Veit past in the hypercar class. As Jesper Pedersen has kind of matched the 717 of Sultan Abdurrahmanov, going a couple of tenths quicker that last time around in the gap at 36.398 seconds. How's the GTE class going? Well, Giuseppe De Fuoco is pushing in his Mosto Ferrari, running about a second a lap quicker than Alvaro Martinez and Michael Sedlacek. But he is 148 seconds behind Alvaro Martinez, so Mosto definitely have a chance, but they really need to be pushing. And Don Monroe starting to find his pace a bit, going 5 tenths quicker than ID SimSport last time around. He is 8 seconds behind, and that is a battle for P5 in the GTE field. What about DIS? Well, Nightmare having completed their stop, they are 82 seconds behind. And was that actually a mistake from Nightmare? Because that was just their outlap, I think. Either way, they're slower in the middle sector by 1.5 seconds compared to DIS. DIS just improved their lap time, setting a 3:55.2. Still a second slower than what Borja Milan did earlier on in the race, of a 3:54.2. And actually, where is Borja Milan? So Borja Milan is on the Mulsanne straight. So Alvaro Incausti is on the start-finish straight, and Borja Milan is on the Mulsanne straight. So I don't know why I thought they were somewhat close to each other, because they really are not. So not on the Mulsanne straight, because he's making his way down into Indianapolis. Rather hard in the dark to identify which straight is which. Telefoningen into the pits as well. Simon Marshall should be jumping ahead of the 188 car. Don't forget, you guys can get involved on the Twitter. Hashtag GTR24H. Let us know how you're watching, just what your thoughts are on the race, or, you know, just let us know who you are here to support. We would absolutely love you to get involved, and maybe we can drop out some of your comments out on the stream as well. Team Viaductin currently running a couple of seconds a lap slower than Bobby Trundley. There's a battle for P4 in the hypercar class. Fastest man on track is currently Mark Veit, setting a 3:22.2. 4 tenths quicker than what Martin Hemmingson, your race leader, did, and 4 seconds faster than what Marcelo Tocco in P2 did, and Mark Veit is only 2 minutes behind, so that gap can close if Mark Veit can keep up that pace, but you'd have to assume it would drop just by a little bit. As we hit midnight here in Denmark, just over 13 hours remaining in the race. PIB cars are actually closing in by about almost 3 seconds a lap onto ID SimSport. So they are showing pace. They were further up the order, so I'm not sure why they've dropped down, but see what they can do. 777 Nightmare car running about 4 seconds a lap slower than DIS. No, wait, never mind. They just came out of the pits on that last lap, so not to be included. But Borja Milan is setting some quick laps. He's hunting down Alvaro Incausti. Still 2 laps behind. And don't count out Daniela Primavera as well, although that being said, Daniela Primavera not running too quickly. 3:59 flat last time around, which is about 3 seconds off what Borja Milan's doing, and 4 seconds off what DISSR Lab are doing as well. ID SimSport are into the pits. But on that note, we are going to be heading into a short commercial break, and when we are back, we will be back with the final 13 hours of the GTR 24H Endurance Racing World Championship here from Le Mans.